Oh my God! Michael Mack show. We're doing our best to sit in for Michael Mack. This is Sarah Brett. I'm Michael Coran, your substitute host. We're discussing the story of Abraham. Abraham is supposed to bring blessings to all families on earth. We're discovering how, through all the traumas, you can, through the cracks, the light comes through. We're discovering this again and again and again. And so we are learning how to discover the blessings hidden in all of life. The traumas just open it up. Like opening up a cantaloupe. Yummy. So we're in Genesis chapter 21. And
we ended with Abimelech shows up.
Yes, and to remind the newcomers who Abimelech is.
Abimelech showed up and had the intuition to know not to marry Sarah because he heard a voice that said Sarah was married to Abraham.
So even though he took Sarah, abducted her. So who
he
knows?
He gave her back.
Yeah, who knows what happened? He swears nothing happened. But he gave Abraham 1,000 pieces of silver to cover up what happened. It's a lot for an abduction. But
so he says Abimelech came with Phicol, the commander of his army.
Wow. I just stopped in with my commander-in-chief. Hi, Sarah. Got a 5-star general knocking on your door.
And said to Abraham, God is with you in everything you do. So make a promise to me here before God that you'll be fair with me and my children and my descendants.
Oh, so that's really rubbing it in, though. Because maybe Abimelech is the father of... And after Abimelech heard, I'm sure Abraham just sent away Hagar and Ishmael. He might be very concerned about what's going to happen with Isaac. So he's got his commander-in-chief there. None of this, just, okay, between you and I just want you to be nice to Isaac, Abraham. Don't take it out on Isaac. So you can know what's going to happen.
He says, be kind to me and to this land where you have lived as a stranger, as kind as I have been to you.
Ooh.
And Abraham said, I promise. Then Abraham complained to Abimelech about Abimelech's servants who had seized a well of water.
They might be talking about a well of waters like life in the desert. A well of life. Someone took mine. Maybe taking Sarah or Isaac's life for Abimelech. What's next?
But Abimelech said, I don't know who did this. You never told me about this before today.
What does that mean? Are they speaking code to each other? What does it literally mean? That's simple. You have a little...
Right. He was saying, you would never disclose this before today.
You never told me that my servants took right. So that might be code for maybe you never told me you thought that I had made Isaac a siege woman. So this is a why. Now they're not just having a chat again. 5-star general is with them. Abe's just a stranger. He's got to be careful. That's the only reason I can think why Abimelech just didn't drop by.
Then Abraham gave Abimelech some sheep and cattle, and they made an agreement. Abraham also put 7 female lambs in front of Abimelech.
So Abram is giving stuff to the king who has so much and who gave him so much silver. What's going on?
Abimelech asked Abraham, why did you put these 7 female lambs by themselves? Abraham answered, accept these lambs from me to prove that you believe I dug this well.
Oh my. What do you think?
It's getting complicated.
Yes. They might be talking about Abraham saying, I want you to believe that I'm the father of Isaac. Maybe. Or just the well. So, to stop Abimelech, because well is important. Life,
Yeah.
we don't even need the
Yeah.
symbols. What an unusual conversation. But the Bible wants us to really pay attention, or else we'll be done in. Someone will say, I love you, and all of a sudden you discover they have 18 wives. Right? Or they're in debt. They're $500,000 in debt and want to marry you. Very dangerous world out there. But if we pay attention, we have a better chance. We have to remember what Yeshua Jesus said. Be as innocent as a dove and wary as a serpent. Okay, we really have to be like Sherlock Holmes. What's going on? We can have a station break. I can tell you a Sherlock Holmes story.
Okay.
Okay, so you go camping with one of your good friends. What's a good woman friend of yours?
I'm gonna say right now my closest female friend. Let's just say Rebecca.
Rebecca.
Okay.
Go camping with Rebecca. And you're good at these things. You help set up the tent as usual. You go to sleep. And about 3 in the morning, you jab Rebecca in the ribs. And she wakes up and you say, Rebecca, look up. What do you see? Rebecca says, I see the stars. And you say, Rebecca, what do you make of that? And she says, because she's a good friend of yours, so she's poetically inclined, well, I think that the universe is shining down on us. And it's such a gentle, beautiful light. It's caring for us. And we can take all of that in. So our minds can take all of that in, small as we are, and still wonder what we're going to have for breakfast. Why, Sarah? What do you make of it? And you say, Rebecca, someone stole our tent. So you need, and we're learning, I have to learn this, really pay attention. I'm not used to that. What? Because I try to hide from the painful things. But we've got to see what's going on.
It's true. I pretend those painful things really aren't happening.
Yeah.
It's true.
So, and so that's another way to spread blessings, to see what's really going on. Someone has stolen our tent.
And you're spreading blessings by paying attention because
if you really pay attention, you could see the light coming through. It's sometimes here I guess it would be, you could see Abimelech is with his commander-in-chief wanting you to be kind to his children and not tell you why. And you might know, and you say, well, okay, that well is mine now. You might be agreeing with him in this coded language. I'll give you 7 ewes, nice little furry sheep, female sheep, to just let you know that, okay, my female is mine now. You can have the sheep. I'll have the well of life. Maybe. They're all guessing. Again, pay attention. We might not know what's going on. There's a spirit around, it could be called God. Ultimately, there's a mystery. We're part of the energy field of mystery. And the way of navigating through it is to always know it is a mystery, but we can have at least hints of what's going on. Who knows who the lucky love of your life will be. Only. Who knows? So that could be, so paying attention can bring us to the blessings that life offers. What happens next?
Abraham answered, "Accept these lambs from me to prove that you believe I dug this well." So that place was called Beersheba, meaning well of seven, because they made a promise to each other there. After Abraham and Abimelech made the agreement at Beersheba, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his army,
In case you forgot, he was the commander of his army.
went back to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree at Beersheba and prayed to the Lord, the God who lives forever. And Abraham lived as a stranger in the land of the Philistines for a long time.
Oh, so, wow, what do you make of this?
Wow.
Tell me.
So Abraham is now out in the desert. And he has he's away from Sarah and Isaac right now, right?
Maybe Sarah's around. That's a good question, though. It only says Abraham. But he has a whole small community with him. He is doing well with Abimelech now.
Mm-hmm.
He is, with all that difficulty, they made it so it works. I've had this with brothers and friends, to make it not so easy, right? To make those difficult friendships work, or the sibling relationship. My brother, he said to me, "You know, Mike, all this God stuff, it's ridiculous. You know what it is? It's bullshit." And I made the mistake of saying, "Scott, how do you know?" And it made him angrier. And it was going to be a rift between us. But one woman, my friend Beatrice, brought us together and had us hug each other with her. And that, when I told my therapist that's what happened, she correctly asked, "Why did you ask him?" I didn't have to prove I was smarter than Scott. So, next time, and his name isn't really Scott, but I'm changing his name. Next time Scott visited, he wanted to continue the discussion. And I said to him, my therapist told me, I shouldn't have even asked you. How do you know? Because how do you know there's not a God?
Exactly.
But he didn't want to. So, and that worked. So we kept our relationship, distant, but okay. So those are also part of the blessing instructions of this really traumatic tale from beginning to almost the end. And then the trauma stops entirely. No more trauma. Marries Hagar, 6 more children.
Well, we don't know if he marries
We don't
Hagar,
know, maybe, yeah.
but
Or married someone.
from Egypt.
He married someone whose name means spices. And that was, and no more traumas. After even, and whether, well, we'll go there when we finish this story, which is soon.
Okay.
Well, we'll do this next time.
Oh, what do you think? I think we have some time.
No, this is so big.
Okay.
You can just read the first sentence of Coming Attractions.
After these things, God tested Abraham's faith. God said to him, "Abraham," and he answered, "Here I am."
And read the next chapter.
Then God said, "Take your only son Isaac, the son you love, and go to the land of Moriah. Offer him as a whole burnt offering on one of those mountains, and I will tell you about it."
Oh, God, so Abimelech was right? Didn't need to be a prophet to know. Abraham is full of fury against Sarah and Isaac. And why wouldn't he be? Ishmael and Hagar have been thrown out because of them. Maybe not Isaac directly. So again, we won't go further than this, but what on earth? We have, fortunately, 11 minutes to figure this out. Mm-hmm. Here again, God, now it's very interesting in the Hebrew. The Hebrew says, God tested Abraham and said, please take your son. You know, not a command. So what do you make of that? He's hearing, if we were just psychologists, we'd understand, right? He's furious, and you take it out on people. You know, not like you and me, we just take it out on ourselves. But it leaks out into other people. It really does. I have a friend of mine who said, Michael, you're a leaker. You try to be good, but it leaks out. She didn't talk to me for 3 years, and now we're talking again.
What did you leak out? Do you remember?
Yes. She wants to borrow more money. I lend her some money, and she wants to borrow more money to buy a car. And I say, you don't really need a car. It wasn't my place to say that. If I was more upfront, I would have said, I'm not comfortable lending you the money. I didn't know how to talk that way. And she didn't like it for me telling her at all. And so she was furious and said, I don't want you to speak for me. So we didn't talk for 3 years. And now we're talking again, somewhat distant, but I've done that with many people. Many, many, more than I know. Keeping my fury inside. Abram's good enough to hear it. But what do we make of the fact that he hears God asking him now, not even telling him? Right? God told him, listen to Sarah. Now he's saying, please, in Hebrew, nah. And again, the people who have trouble with this brutal truth translate nah as now, as if he needs to. Mm-hmm. But it's please, it's really please. So what do we make of this? That it could be intuition. It's more comforting if it's some spiritual power that's caring for us in its own surprising way. Is our intuition in touch with the energy around us? Which is another word for the spirit around us. When I heard that voice saying, ask Matt Robbie to marry me, I did. I once heard an inner voice. I was deeply touched by this woman at Interface. Susan Shyatt. Beautiful woman. And often when I was next to her, I couldn't even open my mouth to speak. Felt a little bit like this with Michelle last night. Well, just on FaceTime. Right? Sometimes hard to speak when you're someone. And then I heard an inner voice say, you're going to marry Susan. Wow. And I told her. Heard an inner voice saying, I'm going to marry you, Susan. And several months later, she laughed. She said, I'd like to be your brother. Again, someone 20 years younger than me. So we were officially brother and sister, so we could be friends. And then she comes to me and she says, Brother Mike, there's this guy in Washington State, an old boyfriend, and he wants to marry me. And I want to get married, lonely, and we do get along. like each other, love each other. What shall I do? I say, well, I guess you should marry him. And she says, I think I should, and you're a justice of the peace. So if we get married on the East Coast, you can marry us. And I realized my inner voice was very tricky, as I am, in saying, Michael, you're going to marry Susan, because I helped. Could be the officiant at her wedding. So
Were you the officiant?
she did get married on the West Coast. So
Okay.
I did visit her there once. We had a lovely walk for a couple of hours. So this inner voice or internal voice, which everybody has. I was listening to a book and said, if you don't believe in the internal voice, the voice you're hearing that says, I don't believe that internal voice, that's your internal voice. So we all have it, many. It's a famous book called The Hero with 1,000 Faces. We have all these voices, and maybe from all these beings we know and beings we don't know, and maybe there's even higher beings, higher powers, greater powers. And we're part of it all. The stars spread their energy. So we could be picking up all kinds of things from deep inside too. It seems to mix. It seems to be the inner voice, like when I proposed to Robbie, is some mixture of many of my feelings, like a jazz music. And there's a singer, a lead singer for the jazz, and she's moved by the jazz and she says things, and it could be my inner voice is moved by my liver and my fears and my love and my anxiety and my hopes and my mothers and my brothers and my other, and they're all part of the music. And there's different lead singers at times, like a jazz. They say, okay, the saxophone player takes over. Okay, now it's time for the pianist. They know, there's no rules. And so it could be that different parts of us speak, sometimes with words, sometimes with pictures, sometimes with just feelings. And it's in touch with us and everything around us, even we're not aware of. And in that sense, it is divine. And divine means, like with a divining rod, to look for something. And so it's divine and divining, looking for answers. And so maybe Abraham has a murderous impulse toward Isaac. Why wouldn't he? And this is how it is coming to him. At this moment, this is the music coming, the jazz. And it says, please, and it's not going to let Abraham just kill Isaac. It's going to take him on a very long journey, 3 days. And we'll see, trusting intuition, what is going to come. How do we deal with our murderous impulses? I mean, you're such a nice woman, I'm sure you're none of those. How do we deal with it? Especially poor women. Men at least will have to get angry. So we have trouble with feelings. You folks have trouble with your fury.
Mm-hmm. We definitely do.
Yes. So what do you do? But if you're true to what's going on inside and around you, you'll hear it. Abraham hears it go, please take your son. It's funny language, your only son. As if that internal voice is rubbing it in, because Isaac is not his only son. And it adds the one you love, and love this fails. Inner voice is painful. It's almost expressing the pain. We're going to hear that. We're not going to make this pretty, Abraham. It's not the one you love. You know I'm playing with you. Which that's why it begins, Abraham is tested. But this is serious playing. Well, tell me what you feel and think. I've done a lot of this talking.
I am looking forward to keep going. I have a question about this. So it says here, God said, offer him as a whole burnt offering on one of the mountains.
No, that's a Holocaust.
Okay.
It means all of you is burnt. None is left over.
Mm-hmm.
And interesting, the Holocaust comes to 6 million
Mm-hmm.
Isaacs.
Mm-hmm.
But we can feel the blessing sneaking through this.
Even after the
Even when you hear what might feel like a demon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Abraham respects it, doesn't just tell it to go away. Says this is something deep within I have to respect, honor, wrestle with. And that is a way which does for him to bring blessings. Lives an amazing older life. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. To be continued.